Okay, so this is the pointless video, which isn't pointless because it's the actual video. It's not 34 seconds long. As I was saying, there are those on YouTube, whether atheist, theist, orthodox, non-orthodox, that you can have a conversation with and either basically, and I know people hate this phrase, agree to disagree. Basically, you don't agree with each other, that's fine. You come to the end of an understanding, and I was talking about that. It's not Zogmite's Chris. It's this other person, really aggressive anti-theist, that was just transgendered or something. And somebody was talking to me about that, and they were going back and forth on whether this person, what they said was accurate or they had enough information to, and we went back and forth for a long time. It began heated, but then it was, so I saw this person was rational. It was pretty cut and straightforward, and said, oh, I can see what you're saying there, alright, I'll concede that to you. And then there's other people who, you know, it's fine. But yeah, it seems the vast majority of people either quote the Bible or will say just insulting or evil things, just beyond offensive. To girls, they usually sexually harass them. And this is common. This is not me specifically. It's kind of funny because there's like 4 people that pop into my mind right away, and then there's those people who will just say the same things over and over again, or people who will flat out contradict themselves, like I showed in the last video. I'm going to take down the pointless video because it's pointless, right? But it's ridiculous. They will be agreeing with you. You agree with them, and they'll still try to argue with you. Like, creationism is crazy. I agree. I think those people are fanatics. I don't like fundamentalists. I don't like this really rancid proselytizing where, you know, you can still fear in children, and, you know, it's wrapped up in hate and fearing God, and I don't think people should fear God. I think that's stupid. I don't argue with atheists about atheism. You shouldn't come to God in fear, you should come to Him in love. And they'll be like, no, but creationism is evil, and it's terrible that they preach hate to children, and I agree with the person, and then since I'm a Christian, they still have to disagree with me. And again, like I was talking to David P. Witham, I almost cringe when I say I'm a Christian, because I usually say Eastern Orthodox, Antiochian, Syriac Antiochian, because of that group, because of the grouping of these very radical fundamentalist creationist hate-filled preachers, or the phony preachers, the emergent church, all the other garbage that when Christianity hits their ear, when they hear Christian, they assume all these other things, which we're totally disconnected from. If I say that, then it gets in this long out thing. We don't believe in original sin. We believe all souls go back to God. We believe we don't believe Jesus was human sacrifice. So it seems that there's 2 categories of people, and it's not drawn between any religious lines. It's actually very personal. It's how they act. This is why I don't care people placing the blame on it, or, well, Charles Manson claimed to be Jesus, therefore religion caused that war, and religion... No, it's not that book, or the communists, you know, they did this. No, it's that person. That person who went out with an Uzi to massacre people. This is why I think the argument, well, without religion, you'd have good people doing good things and bad people doing bad things. But with religion, you can get good people to do evil things. That is with every group. Any group. Any group. Communism. Atheists who did things in the name of atheism. Stalin, with his artificially incited famine of the Ukraine in the 1930s, did it in the name of atheism. He said, we're doing this to break their belief in God, for them to come to atheism, for them to embrace atheism and then embrace the state. He did it in the name of atheism and communism. And most of the times people do evil things, it's politics. It's actually nothing to do with the faith or their personal experience or their views of right and wrong. It's the political body, and that's human beings are naturally hierarchical. We're a hierarchical species. We form groups and alliances, and people will do evil things, like in war. People think they're fighting a just war. Then they're dropping napalm on children. They're justifying it. Well, we have to because of this or that. It's not just religion. It's anything. People will do that. And when people say, "Oh, well, it's religion, or it's the Bible, or it's this, or it's that," no, that's just you're okay. That's like if when people blame Islam for things. Well, Islam makes them. Yes, there are. I mean, Islam does command these very violent things, but you have to blame. You put the blame on the person. You don't say, okay, then the Muslims and the. That's why I don't say Muslims and Muslims and Muslims. I'll talk about the Quran. I'll talk about Muhammad. I'll talk about the Sahaba, but I'm not the Muslims. That's ridiculous. So there's these people, and they embrace these arguments like that, like what I just said. Without religion, people would be good. People would be good. Bad people would be bad. But with religion, you get people do bad things. That's so short-sighted. You're just saying religion when you should say, well, any ideology, any ideologue will do that. Religion doesn't have a monopoly on that at all, and is actually in the minority. Oh, I said I wasn't going to smoke to somebody on here. All right, but no, you have these two camps, and even if somebody wants to debate that with me, or I mean, I don't care to debate it, but if they bring it up and go back and forth, that's fine. But when things don't come to an end, that's not. I mean, the Christians do it. The fanatical Protestants do it. I haven't come across Eastern Orthodox that do it, but that usually happens with everybody. But I'm sure that there's some Eastern Orthodox people out there that, I shouldn't say I'm sure of it, but that's entirely possible and very probable. I just haven't experienced because of the Orthodox people I talk to on here. So there's two camps, and they're not camps. It's individual personalities, and it's the people who you can have a dialogue with and people you can't. And the funny thing is I think most people you would be able to if it was in person, but since they get to hide, they have an excuse to act like a jerk. Or sometimes it's stupidity, or it's ingrained thinking. Marijuana is bad. It should be outlawed. It should say outlawed. Anybody who is for legalizing it is a drug addict. Well, why is that? And you list all these reasons. Well, we should decriminalize marijuana. Something I believe in. Cut down on gang warfare. It's, look at prohibition with alcoholism. No, but it's bad. It's sinful. Well, why is it a sin? There's nothing in the Bible about, using substances there's no prohibition. No, but it's bad. And they have a mental block. There's those people, there's the jerks. And there's probably various other reasons why people can't engage in a dialogue. It's very odd. But those people who can, I like that. I get a lot out of that. I like talking to people on comments and stuff, and if it gets to a degree, some things have to be spelled out. People say, why do you even bother with the Zionists? Because too many people buy into it. Because I put up a thing, and it's straight history. It's not debating somebody over religion. I'm not going to debate somebody of Buddhism or Christianity or atheism or orthodoxy or this or that. It's not. That's ludicrous. You already. It's experiential, so it's not. There's no. I can't convince you of it. I can't convince somebody that I saw an angel, or I've never seen an angel. Will never see one. I probably can't. Um, but when you're talking about historical facts, when you can say, when somebody says there was no Palestine before 1967, and then contradicts themselves, and there's groups of people, oh no, there was no Palestine before 1967, and you can prove it historically. There's too great of many people, or people who said, well, you know, they would have said, well, before, you know, 1980, everybody thought the world was flat. If there was a lot of people who said that, when you can actually factually point it out, yeah. The one thing I think is pointless is when people say, well, Jesus didn't exist. These are people who, I've never engaged with one that actually didn't just use non sequiturs, or was ever engaged in the dialogue and just reacted, because you ask them for a historical standard, and every time, in my experience, they've refused to give one. And sometimes they'll retreat into like the flamenco thinking, oh, well, we don't know that Christopher Columbus or George Washington existed, and I've even had some that said, well, the Ukrainian famine, how do you know that existed? At that point, I don't want to talk to that person, so it's silly. But for things like Palestine, which is something that's important to me, near and dear to my heart, and is very real, and American voters, it is going to change their opinion. God is not going to change somebody's opinion about voting, ever. I mean, Catholics are very Democrat, Protestants are usually very Republican, but there are Protestants who are Democrat. There are Catholics that are Republican, and there are atheists that are Republican and Democrat. There's no, I mean, Ayn Rand supporters. Let's have it. They might be more libertarian, but out of, you know, I don't know. What's that? What's the word? Not utilitarianism, but pragmatism. They would go for Republicans over a Democrat. But yeah, so that's all I got to say. If it was more passionate, if it was more heated, it would this video would probably turn out better. But that's why there's topics that I'm not going to debate, because I don't think they're possible to debate, like God. Don't want to engage with atheists on that, or with anybody on that. If you don't believe in God, that's fine. And as I said before, I'd rather people be atheists than be in cults. And as I said before, cults, the difference between cult and religion is behavior. That's what it is. It's the behavior of the two groups. And I've made videos on that. But if people are just going to bombard and not have a diet, it's silly. These people show themselves for what they are, and that's it. But with something like the Palestinian issue, if those people are rational, if they care enough about the situation to say these things, and sometimes you can get somebody who's very vitriolic or very intense, or but then they can actually engage in dialogue. They're very passionate about something, but then they can see things. So for that minority on YouTube, I mean, it's for the minority that I make videos. My channel is not for stupid people. It's, I mean, you could watch a section of my video and be like, oh my gosh, you know, it's funny, people will click on, like, watch one video and then start talking about creationism. It's like, have you seen any of my videos? Alright, that's it. Peace to you. May God save Serbia and Syria. And that right there is probably where I get most of my heat from. The last parting message that I do on every video. Take it easy out there. Offensive. To girls, they usually sexually harass them. And this is common. This is not me specifically. It's kind of funny because there's like 4 people that pop into my mind right away, and then there's those people who will just say the same things over and over again, or people who will flat out contradict themselves, like I showed in the last video. I'm going to take down the point, but then it was, so I saw this person was rational. It was pretty cut and straightforward, and said, oh, I can see what you're saying there, alright, I'll concede that to you. And then there's other people who, you know, it's fine. But yet, it seems the vast majority of people either quote the Bible or will say just insulting or evil things beyond offense video, because it's pointless, right? But it's ridiculous. They will be agreeing with you. You agree with them, and they'll still try to argue with you. Like, creationism is crazy. I agree. I think those people are fanatics. I don't like fundamentalists. I don't like this really rancid proselytizing where, you know, you can still figure in children, and, you know, it's wrapped up in... Okay, so this is the pointless video, which isn't pointless because it's the actual video. It's not 34 seconds long. As I was saying, there are those on YouTube, whether atheist, theist, orthodox, non-orthodox, that you can have a conversation with and either basically, and I know people hate this phrase, agree to disagree. Basically, you don't agree with each other, that's fine. You come to the end of an understanding, and I was talking about that, it's not Zogmite's Chris, it's this other person, really aggressive anti-theist, that was just transgendered or something, and somebody was talking to me about that, and they were going back and forth on whether this person, what they said was accurate or they had enough information to, and we went back and forth for a long time. It began heated.